Well, greetings and salutations, Series 10 test takers. This is Dean Tenney. I'm coming to you from my studio here in fabulous Las Vegas with an explication request for Kaplan QID 1498615. If you don't have a Kaplan Q Bank, I highly recommend it. With my Guru 15 discount code, you get 15% off on all Kaplan products and services. For that commercial, Kaplan allows me to give you a free look at Kaplan questions like this. A customer purchased 10 4.5% GEO bonds in 2021 that mature in 2050 at a 3.50 basis, so 3.5%. Basis is fancy word for yield to maturity. So the first thing to recognize in this question is that this is indeed a bond at a premium. How do I know that? Because it's got a 4.5% coupon and the yield to maturity is 3.5. And on Series 10, you got to kind of believe in human depravity and original sin. And what I'd like to do is call you and say, hey, brand new bonds only pay between 3 and 4. Mine pays 4.5. And you say, well, Dean, don't I have to pay a premium for that? And should you really be quoting to me yield to maturity when it's likely the bond is going to be called? The bonds are callable beginning in 2033 as follows. So it's very likely it's going to get called at the first call date. And I don't really care for the rationale here, but we always, when we sell a bond at a premium, we need quote yield to call. And that quote should be, will be the lowest yield you could expect to receive. Anyways, so the 103, 102, 100.5, par, I wouldn't worry too much about that in terms of just knowing that it's a bond at a premium. We got a quote yield to call, and we always use the nearest call date, which in this case is 2033. So the rest of that is not really meaningful. Answer the question. This question brings me back to when I was a baby broker, and I was trying to sell somebody a bond, and my basis yield to maturity was 8. And the guy said, Dean, I have a competitor of yours quoting a bond very similar in credit quality and maturity of 8.5. Oh, really? 50 basis points, 50 bips more than mine. Gee, I'm usually a little more competitive than that. I mean, it could be that the reason mine has a lower yield to maturity or basis because I've marked it up, price up, yield down. I don't think that's it, because if that was it, I would know. Do me a favor. I didn't quote you a yield to call because my yield to call is higher. We're buying this bond at a discount to par. And that's why I didn't quote yield to maturity. But do me a favor, call him back and ask him what the call provisions are. If I lose the business, certainly call me and let me know that you went with the other quote and the other broker, because I get it. But I'd like to know how I lost the business, and maybe that's it. Anyways, he called me back. He said, hey, Dean, the call yield to call was 7, and it was callable in 6 months. Now, I don't know if that other broker was malicious or ignorant, but in that situation, he shouldn't have been quoting to that customer 8.5 yield to maturity. That's deceptive because it was bond at a premium, and therefore he should have been quoting the yield to call, the nearest call date, which was 7. So I hope that's helpful. So the answer to this question should be based on the 2033, the nearest call date. That's the main point. So I wouldn't get too hung up in the prices, but that is the answer to the question. Hope that was helpful. Remember, inch by inch, your Series 10 is a cinch. Yard by yard, your Series 10 is hard. And I'll see you for the next explication request.